Hello, everybody. Welcome to the director's commentary of Ordinary Things. My name is Moy Berger. I'm the director of Ordinary Things, and I want to first of all tell you about my film before I start talking. Ordinary Things is a movie that follows Jerry, which is an ordinary teenage boy. And you know what? Jerry's not so ordinary, actually. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the director's commentary of Ordinary Things. My name is Moy Berger. I'm the director of Ordinary Things, and I want to explain to you about my film first. Ordinary Things is a comedy movie that follows Jerry, who is a teenage boy. Now, Jerry's not your typical teenage boy. He's weird. He's a little nerdy, but he's a strange guy. He's not normal. And the movie follows Jerry doing ordinary tasks, and you get to see the shenanigans that follow. And yeah, now that I've told you a little bit about my film, this director's commentary is going to focus on production and my production skills as a director and how it evolved throughout filmmaking and making ordinary things. So, first of all, I'd like to show you the first two scenes and explain to you those two. So, the first two scenes, as you can see, is two establishing shots. So, this is the first one of just the location where it's taking place. So, you saw those two establishing shots. Those two were actually my first time filming. So it was my first time picking up a camera and understanding what's going on and figuring everything out. And to be fair, it was actually quite difficult to understand how to do things, but again, planning out the shots was really important. But since it was my first shots, there was not that much planning that went into it. So we went up into the roof of my apartment building to film these two shots. The first shot of the view from the building where you can see other buildings and an island and the sea, that shot was actually quite hard to take because I needed to zoom in without the camera zooming out, and I also needed to make sure the shot didn't shake too much as I was filming it, since then the footage would look bad. I also had to tilt it at a specific angle and bring the camera back into the apartment building a little bit so there wouldn't be shade and the sun wouldn't shine into the lens, like making it look weird, since it was a very, very sunny day. And the same thing for the next shot. It was like, since it was my first time, it was kind of difficult to put it at a right angle and make sure the camera didn't shake and wasn't acting too weird. But those shots weren't as difficult as other ones. Those were actually took me 2 takes to film, which I wouldn't say is so bad. But again, it was my first learning experience, and they actually helped build up the rest of my filming and planning skills, since you start from somewhere. Now I want to show you the next shot. So this shot is a tilt shot, which shows the main character for the first time. So this shot was difficult to film because of it being in a public area. The other two shots, which I showed beforehand, were in my apartment building and they didn't include any people. They were just establishing shots, so I didn't really have to worry about other people and the environment and everything. But with this shot, since it has people and Jerry and there's acting involved and it's in a public setting, a lot of stuff went into this shot. We had to plan it out to make sure to come on a Saturday so there wouldn't be too many people around. We also came at 12 so the sun would be bright and it wouldn't look too bad. Since if there was shade, the camera shots wouldn't look good and the character would just not look right. The tilt shot was actually quite difficult to perform because since I was the actor for Jerry, I actually had to instruct the cameraman on how to tilt the camera down and how to capture me. I also had to walk in frame at the perfect time. And I would say this was my first time kind of directing someone on how to film, since I filmed the first two previous shots by myself. And since it was my first time kind of explaining to the cameraman how to do that and how to make sure the shot looked nice and to make sure the tilt looked smooth enough. And I also had to make sure to walk into the frame at the right time so he could capture me. And all those like elements together made the shot more difficult than the other two. I also had to make sure other people weren't walking into frame, so we had to wait there. This actually like taught me to plan out the timing better because we actually had to wait there on the stairs for a while until people weren't coming in and out. So I would say I needed to plan out better the timing for the filming itself. As I said before, we did try to plan, but it wasn't so good because it was our first time. So not everything went according to plan. Now, this was also my first time using props. So you can see right now, he's taking the phone out of his pocket, and this was also like a little difficult because the movement needed to look fluid and not fake and clunky. And since it was my first time acting, I actually had to figure myself out and make sure I don't make it look like it's a movie. I needed to try subtly acting, and yeah, after one or two tries, we got the shot, and I'm very happy with it. It looks fluent, and the tilt looks nice, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do, which is establish the main character. Now I want to show you the next shot. So this shot, it was actually my first time shooting mise en scène by itself. So I actually like the other three shots that we just saw, like the two establishing ones and the tilt, all were like about a character or establishing, but none of them were just on an object or mise en scène in the movie. And this shot was actually harder to film than you would imagine. The first time we filmed it, we weren't really prepared. I We actually had another phone in the background, which was a mistake, and that mistake really made me aware of stuff that's happening on film and how to like be fully aware of everything in the shot and to make sure nothing that's not supposed to be there is there. We went to refilm the shot after the first shot had something in the background, and the second time we filmed it, it was actually quite darker, and so there were shadows on the screen of the phone, and it was quite difficult to not get the actor's face in the shot. You can see how like you can see the film finger shadow in the shot, and we had to move the actor's hand away from his face, and we had to put the camera on top, like right on top of it as like an aerial shot, and we actually tracked the phone as the phone call was happening. And yeah, we actually got the shot after three takes, and this really helped me get awareness for the movie itself and for the scenes and everything that's happening inside the movie, and it made me check my shots better. It also made me understand how to shoot with shadows, and you can see later on in the film where we have shots outside that like there's not no problem like shadow and reflections and stuff. It's This shot actually taught me a lot for filming mise en scène, and you can see how it like tracks and it looks really cinematic because we placed the camera on a tripod, and so the shot doesn't look bad. It looks doesn't shake. It just looks cinematic and nice, and I really like that about the shot. The next shot I want to show you is the shot where the actor answers the phone, and you see he's talking on the phone, and then Jerry walks into the store. Now, actually, surprisingly, this shot was actually the most difficult shot to film in the whole movie. Originally, this shot was actually two different shots that were supposed to be together, which was the actor picking up the phone, talking on the phone, and then it would cut to the actor putting down the phone in his pocket and walking into the store. But we figured out that that was not possible. We actually had to refilm the shot maybe 20 times because it kept failing because people kept walking into the shot and people kept coming in and out. We did this over three different filming days. On the first filming day, we shot this without a tripod, and so the footage, when we cut to a different shot, it wasn't leveled since I, as the actor, moved a little bit, and we couldn't cut, so we had to try a few times again without a tripod, and it just didn't work without a tripod. And on the second time we filmed it, the second like filming day for this shot, we couldn't figure out how to not get people to walk in all the time because we went at a super busy time. We went at 4 in the afternoon, which is time people get off work and stuff, and so everybody came in, and that was poor planning on our part. But the last filming day actually taught us how to prepare for the shot. So this shot had tremendous amounts of planning into it. We made sure to um like have the actor come in at an early time. So when I came in, it was at 12. We went there at 12 on a Saturday, so people are less like likely to come to the grocery store at 12 on a Saturday since it's hot. And yeah, so there were still a large amount of people there, but not too large that people kept walking into the shot and disturbing it. And you can see in the shot how like my planning like improved because there's nothing in the shot. It looks fluent, it looks nice. And yeah, you can see how we also filmed this on a tripod. So there's no shaking, the camera doesn't move at all. It looks nice. We also leveled it using the tripod, and yeah, in my opinion, it looks really, really good. Um, Now I'll show you where the character walks into the store. So right here, after the character is done talking on the phone, you see this was supposed to cut into the new scene, but people kept being in the background, and so we couldn't cut to the other scene, which was another problem. And so making it one fluid shot instead of two really, really helped. Now you see he's walking into the store and it's so fluent. The acting also improved since we filmed this later on and we had so many times to try it over. You can see how it improved. And yeah, it's really, really good. Now this shot was actually difficult to film since we could only have one take to do it. Um, since this is a public grocery store and we didn't have permission to film inside, we actually had to have the actor, which is me, walk into the store while he was being tracked by the cameraman. And we only could do this one time because if we kept walking in and out of the store, it would be suspicious, it would be rude, and it would disturb everyone in there. So the one shot we did, he had to also grab a basket at the same time. And it actually turned out really, really good because we actually waited outside for so long because from the shots beforehand we knew how people could like disturb the shots and him like bumping into people and moving into them, so we waited outside until we saw it was clear and we went for it. And yeah, you can see how it's like there's nobody in the background of the shot and it looks fluent. And yeah, now this shot is actually the first shot that shows that this is a comedy movie. This shot has the actor, I'll show you, getting sprayed in the face by deodorant. You can see he's sniffing himself and now he's getting sprayed in the face. We actually filmed this in a different location to the first one. It was the same chain of grocery stores, just like a different location. It's the same chain, so it looked the same. We just had to choose a different location because I lived right next to the other grocery store where we filmed the first part of the movie. And so if we did actions like spray deodorant in the face in the middle of the grocery store in a place where I lived, it could get me in trouble, and we didn't really want to do that. We also knew this store was much less busy than the other store since the other store was in a more urban area of Phuket, which is the location where we filmed it at. So we chose this store to go film the more out there scenes. We also made sure to come at a later time, so we actually filmed this shot at 8 o'clock at night, which made sure there weren't too many people in the grocery store. It was an hour before they were closing, so it wasn't full at all, which means nobody came into the background. And this is another example of how we improved. Like my planning for the film improved after shooting it so many times. You can see how the shot looks better, the lighting, we chose better lighting. We also made sure the actor, which was me, I made sure I was comfortable spraying it in my face. The only problem we had with the shot is we couldn't refilm it over and over again, because if we did film it over and over again, it would be dangerous because the actor had chemicals spraying into his face. So we did this in 2 takes and it worked out wonderfully. You can see he has a good facial expression, and then there's a sort of tracking upwards, which adds to the character. And yeah, this like filming ordinary things and being the actor at the same time was really complicated for me because in the beginning instructing a cameraman on how to do stuff while acting was difficult, but as I improved I figured out how to explain it to them while I was figuring out how to act the scene out myself. And Yeah, I think this scene is like an example of like how you can see the facial expressions which are exaggerated for comedic purposes, and then it tracks him out of the shot. Now this next shot is another shot that shows comedic aspects, and we actually filmed this one in the other location as well, because as I'll show you, it's more of like um an out there action. He's using mel the melons or cantaloupes in like a provocative way, and to add comedy to the scene. And I think that if I were to film this in the other grocery store where it was full of people, and they would be looking, and maybe they would call security on us, and it wouldn't be comfortable for anybody. We didn't want to disturb them. I don't think we wanted them to disturb us. And so yeah, this other location was really really smart to do, choosing to go to another place which was not full of people. And you can also see how like the camera shakes less because we held it better. This was also shot on a different camera, which is where most of the budget went for this film. We actually had to buy a new camera in the middle of filming this because the camera we used for half of it was used by the school, and we couldn't use it again for a longer period of time. Like we had to take pauses between filming days, and that just hurt my creative process. And so we spent most of the budget on that camera. We also spent the rest of the budget on the outfit for Jerry. And yeah, now let me go on to the next scene so you can see how he's walking outwards and it looks smoother and there's no shaking. Now, this next scene is part of the ending sequence of the movie. So you can see how the actors pick me. I'm picking out like noodles and chopping around, which does look fluent. And then he's bending down to pick something up, and boom, gets hit by a grocery cart. Now, this shot was my first time ever filming a dolly shot, and it was actually harder than I would expect because the camera kept shaking for some reason, and the cart, which the grocery cart, which was both in the film and the dolly, like part of the dolly shot, kept moving weirdly, and so it was really difficult. And again, since we were in a public space, it was harder to like film this shot again and again because the someone getting hit by a grocery cart in a grocery store over and over would be ridiculous. And so we planned this out so we could do it quickly. We set everything up and we did it, and it went really really well. We actually did the shot in another area of the grocery store, but we figured out that um aisles that are really open, like the aisle we filmed it, the other aisle we filmed it in, which was an aisle for candy and chocolates, had so much sliding, and it was really more populated than an aisle full of canned goods, which is less likely to be filled with kids or people going in and out and running around. And so yeah, that's why we chose this location. We also chose this shot over the other shot where we filmed the other location where like in the candy aisle, because you can see how fluent the fall looks. It doesn't look that amazing, but it looks genuine enough to be considered real. You can see how he falls, and then now we're at our last shot. So this is the last shot of the movie, and this shot actually had to be refilmed at the end because the first shot we did, I filmed it at a different angle than to it falling. So you see how the when it falls right here, you can see the the grocery basket falling. You see it's falling right there to the sauces, and then you see the sauces right there. When I filmed it beforehand, I flipped it and it was the wrong way around, and the sauces weren't there because we filmed it at a different location because people kept coming into the aisle after we shot that shot. And so it looked really bad and it didn't look smooth and it looked clunky and fake. And so I went back and redid the shot, and I took my time and I used a tripod, and it looks really really nice. I really feel like it captures like exactly what it was supposed to, which is it's like a filler shot for the titles, but it also transitions from the fall to the basket, which I think is really smart. So yeah, that's it. Thank you all for coming and listening to my director's commentary about my production skills and how they develop. Yeah, see you later.